Hello everyone, my name is Pedro Rodrigues, and today I wanted to begin my journey of exploring some theories that I've been having for the last couple of years. They range from everything really, from social sciences, usually that's where I work in, um, from economic theories to political theories to gender studies, so on, ethnicism as well. But yeah, um, it's just a way of putting into the world some ideas that I've been having. I'm still very new to this, so I apologize for my amateurness. Regardless, today I wanted to talk about the most recent theory that I have so far, which is about human advancement. So, um, basically, how I see it is human advancement is the combination between social wait, social sciences, as well as natural sciences. Um, I don't thinking of something that expands beyond this. It just doesn't come to mind. But please, anything that comes to your minds, please insert it in the comments, or I'll try to read them. Yeah, but so social science is natural science. uh, Basically, it boils down to this: if there is need for advancement, there is there are these two pillars trying to move towards that progression. And what will happen is social sciences through um, economics through politics, takes or arts or so on, or arts, etc., will try to convince a whole set of people that something needs to be done. For example, let's talk about digging holes. So, if I want to dig a hole, um, might as well, maybe I'll do it myself, right? Sure. Because I think that there should be a hole right here because I don't know, I saw something in the internet that told me that digging holes is good for the environment, whatever. Or because I saw someone else do it and I thought that was pretty cool. Or I just want to dig a hole, whatever. But if I need help with digging a hole, let's say, or I just need to convince people to dig a hole, I need this whole movement to be set inside people's heads so that they agree to dig this hole with me. And you can do this through economics, through politics, art, so on, in a way that it becomes so important to them as much as it is to you that the hole is eventually dug. But uh, it it's a matter of like we need to dig this hole. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter when it comes to be done, but we as a community need to dig this hole. Right? This is the beginning. This is how any social movement sounds like, and which I thought it was pretty funny. Um, but on the other hand, you have natural sciences who tell you a more cold version of this. Will try to explore this scenario more coldly, which sometimes is very useful. And basically, they will just say, "Well, so we have a hole that needs to be dug. Fine. So let's gather some intelligent people, put them around a patch of dirt, and just try to figure out how to dig a hole. And they might come with a shovel. So digging holes. Shovel. First, okay, so I'll just write shovel here. Shovel. Or convince explanation of why this hole needs to be dug, and movement behind it, and movement or paradigm behind it. This is for social sciences. Meanwhile, natural sciences will just give you a shovel and tell you, okay, if you want to dig a hole, here's a shovel. And I found this very interesting because basically it's just saying that social sciences, through economics, politics, and art, etc., is essentially the steady progression of human advancement, whilst natural sciences seems to be a binary progression. Binary progression. You either have the shovel or you don't. And obviously, maybe there's flaws in this example that it's not explaining my point to the fullest. So I could tell about another example. So, with that being said, within the example of digging holes, we could explore another example, which is wars. So, you want to declare war, or a war needs to be declared. I think that's a better example, a better way of putting it. So, now that a war needs to be declared, because that's how human advancement is going with, whatever the reason it is, somehow Europe is built on wars and just conflict in general. Like, we've been fighting each other for so long, so insanely long, that it just became so common that and eventually we just went, wait, what? Why? Just stop. Let's just talk it out. Obviously, there's a lot of caveats than just this, but this is basically just a funny way of saying it. Which I argue that if something is funny, then it just becomes better. But that being said, so wars. You need to declare war. So you can either convince people that the war needs to be fought. You can either give people guns, for example, or swords, or whatever the newest technological development is, nuclear bombs or whatever. Or you can do both. Right. So convincing that a war needs to be declared, or giving people guns, or like a technological edge over an enemy, so it becomes easier, so it becomes more easy to convince people, making it easier to declare war. And that's the whole premise, is that the human advancement is what is it? What is human advancement? It could be argued that it's the search for making people's lives better, right? So why declare wars? Maybe you declare war because you believe that by possessing the other country's resources, your country will be better off, right? It's a sometimes very flawed theory, but all right, that's a way of thinking. But you can also do this both. So this is my first theory, and I would like to. Oh no, actually, I have another thing to add. And all right, so I presented this concepts to my housemate, and he argued that technology is well, let me just finish here. Through technology. So he argues that technology is not really binary progression. It's, yes, you suddenly have shovels or guns, fair enough, but it's also, there's also this whole need to make it widespread, and maybe there's another word for it, but I'll just call it widespread, or expanding the reach of new technology. So, if you have this new technology, usually only the richest have it, because that's how technology works. You just come up with a new thing, it's still expensive, it's still uneconomical, so you only give it to the ones that can have it, which usually are not many. But then you can, through time, make it more accessible, more economical, right? Economics is indeed the study of how of resources. It's not only about money, although some people think it is, but it's whatever. But all right, so expanding the reach of new technology, and then what happens here is through time, or through time, and through, get this, natural sciences, as well as social sciences, new technologies can become more widespread, and therefore useful. Or maybe useful here is not the best word, I confess, because there's this whole idea in technological progression philosophy about Pandora's box. A Pandora's box. So every time a new technology comes about, it's just out, and there's really nothing else you can do about it. Like, you can't just put it back in. So it can either be used either for good or for evil. And good or evil, it's subjective. That's implied. But yeah, so that's a problem with technology. So this word could be different, useful. But it's an interesting way of thinking, I believe, because first off, it's mine, and second off, because I think it just explains how human advancement works in a single A4 page. Not bad. So yeah, and to add to the theory, it comes back here again. You develop a new technology, and then through time, through economic reforms, or through politics, or through I don't know, concessions, subsidies, and so on, something. You convince people to work more on this particular good and technology, right? And then it becomes more accessible. You can also add natural sciences to this, because now, instead of using a certain material that's relatively rare, you use another which is equivalent in this scenario. Example, you can imagine whatever you want, and it still does the same thing. For example, during the wars, to the Second World Wars, I remember that there were guns that were made with like very good materials in the beginning of the war. But then, as the war kept going, the Germans realized that they needed to make shittier and shittier versions of their guns. The example I have in mind actually is the grenades. But yeah. By the way, I say shittier because even though it's very informal, it's still a way of expression, and I believe that there should be some freedom with the words to say every so often some bad words. But yeah, so that's another theory. This is my first theory. Hope you enjoyed this method. Any feedback will be more than welcome. I think that writing like this and then just talking whilst writing is a good way, because my head can be very convoluted. So if I just write something, it will take me forever to write it, and then I will never talk. But if I only talk, I'll get lost. So yes, please also tell me if you understood my theory. It could definitely need some work, and that's my plan, really. It's like, I'll do this theory now, and then in a couple of weeks or months, I'll come back and redo this theory, like a new remake or a new DLC was added, and I just inserted to the end of this one. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day, and I'll see you around.